Hello, and welcome to today's project launch video. Today I'm kind of announcing a project to build a Sherman IIa. Now this is the standard Sherman tank that you get with like Warlord Games, their M4 model. And this doesn't really fit the model I'm trying to work on. What I wanted was a gun, a 76mm gun. This comes with a 75mm gun, which is a very good infantry support weapon. It's not so great as a tank weapon. So I wanted to actually work with the T-23 turret, which actually has a second hatch, and the 76mm long gun. So what I did is I went ahead and from the company called Company B bought a T-23 turret, and this will be used to replace it. So I actually want to real quick take a look at it. Doesn't quite fit on there perfectly right now. I'll have to do some work to get that, but just from looking at it top down, you can see it's different enough compared to this. And this allowed the two hatches and the length of the breech of the 76mm to fit in, because this is a much longer gun if you compare the two guns. And this was the anti-tank, the better anti-tank gun. So still not as good as a British 17-pounder, but better than the 75mm that came on the base Sherman. Alright, so anyway, what I'm going to do is basically just build the turret and then add some details. So I also bought some spare track as well. I'll show you why in a second. So there's really nothing, no special reason aside from the fact that I noticed that this particular version of the tank was not one the British actually used. This version, the Sherman, basically, in my Polish 1st Armored Division, that is, they didn't use the Sherman I, which is really pretty much what this is. They used a Sherman II and a Sherman III, as well as a Sherman V. This, however, is not the Sherman V. The Sherman V is a little bit longer, has a longer wheelbase, and there's actually more space between these bogies. The difference between the Sherman I and II, and between the 2 and the 5, is the fact that this is not a welded hull. It's actually a cast hull. So these are actually rounded. So let's go ahead and take a look at the model I'm trying to build. We'll take a look at the actual tank I found that I want to make, and show you the difference between this tank and the base of the tank that I'm wanting to model. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so here's the actual tank I'm trying to build. And you'll see there's a 76mm gun, and the turret is a little bit more hefty. The big difference here is just all of the tracks that are welded on as additional armor, basically. They even down here put the regiment number and the Polish Hussar divisional emblem on a separate placard. Normally the 52 would be here on the hull and the division symbol here on this side, but because the tracks are covering it, they had to put it here on this placard. There's some sort of burlap type material covering that for camouflage up here as well. You can see all the track levels. There's a tow cable on there. You'll notice it even has the 50 caliber up front, which is not normally allowed in British tanks in bolt action, but I'll probably model it that way anyway, just because I want to kind of be authentic. Over here in the background is a Sherman Firefly, Sherman 5 Firefly. So that's a 17-pounder gun. So basically this is a little bit less effective than this one, but they're much better than the original 75. So What has to be done though is you can't tell on this particular tank what the base model is really like, but there's a little hint of it on the very back end here. You'll see there's this almost an angle here. That's because this is kind of rounded off. Because what's actually happening is, instead of it being a welded side, this is actually cast, and it has a rounded body or hull. So let's take a quick look at what that looks like. So this is, here, let's use this one picture here. Okay, this is the M4A1, which is what the Sherman II was. This is the M4A1 is the U.S. designation for it, and in Britain these are made into the Sherman IIs. Now, the ones that kept the 76mm barrel were Sherman IIas. The tanks, however few of them were done this way, the Sherman M4A1s that had the 12-pounder installed instead were called Sherman IICs. But this is a Sherman IIa, or yeah, 2A, and you'll notice the rounded hull. And right back here you can see it's rounded. Alright, so here, let's take a look at the back plane. You can see this whole edge here is rounded. Well, on the Warlord model, you can see it's actually a hard, sharp line. Okay, because this is a vertical panel that was welded to the top of the hull. Okay, so it is different. It's going to be different. You'll notice the details back here. You have this on the back of the turret. You do have the cable. I'll have to cut that off. But these on the side, you got these two plates. They were kind of reinforcements areas of the steel. Those are completely absent in this one. Let me see, nice smooth hull. Up here at the front, you can see the fender comes out. It does curve down, but back here, that's rounded off quite a bit. On the Sherman, it's the angle comes straight in. There's no rounding. So this is the typical Sherman 4, but this is normally the not the one. This isn't the one you'd use if you use the modeling the M4A1. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of shaving on the hull to get that rounded effect. Fortunately for me, though there are some details back here, it'll be simple to modify some of these details on the Warlord model. The only difference back here on this hatch is this little, looks like a filler hatch. This is not on the Warlord model, so I'll probably do, instead of actually putting it on there, I'll probably put some stowage back here. Given the amount of gear or tracks that's bolted on or welded onto the side of that tank, they probably had some stowage back here. So let's take another look back at that tank. You'll see throughout here, you can see as this armor plate here, or armor plate, that's the tracks, these actually start to curve in. They have a slightly different angle than these. These curve in up on the top, these start curving in on the side, and there's plenty of room to put these spare idler wheels, bogey wheels, right there. So I've got to get some of those. I don't have those yet. So most of the hull work, the modifications of rounding, I'm going to try to do my best to make it clean, but it will be covered up by the track links across the whole thing. So this is the ultimate goal of the project. Try to recreate this tank. I do not know which squadron this was part of, but this was from the 2nd Armored Division. Sorry, it's the Post 1st Armored Division, 2nd Armored Regiment, in the which is what the 52 represents as well. So we'll have to see. I don't know if I can find any records that tell me which of the squadrons, and that'll help me figure out what decals to put on. But really, the only tactical markings, there might be something way back here, but they'll probably put something on the back of the turret to represent the squadron affiliation. I have to do some research for that. All right, so that is the project, and we're going to see. I'm going to try to take this Warlord tank, modify it slightly, and then using that new turret, come up with this tank. It's going to be a lot of camouflage work on there with the burlap or what have you, and a lot of details. Every time I pour over this video, or sorry, this photo, I just seem to find something else. I'm even wanting to actually model some exposed crewmen, but we will see. Depends on how much I want to invest in, components for that. I really want most of my work to go into a regular Sherman 5s, but this will be fun. All right, so I just want to let you know what's coming and what other project I'm working on. And so stay tuned, share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's see where this project goes. I am bound and determined to get this one done by the end of the year. All right, thanks a lot. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.